Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a long time, but I am finally here in this new apartment that my friend bought like 6 months ago. Yep, 6 months ago, and I've shifted in a month before. And the first thing that I got to eat here was the Dhoklas, and it's an Indian dish, of course, you must know. And while deciding what I should draw next for my digital painting, I thought that what better would it be than drawing a plate of that delicious snack. And so let's get started on it. This is my reference for today. A picture I clicked on that very day, and it is definitely going to be one of the most memorable things that I've experienced here in the city. And yeah, so let's get started on Procreate. First, we are going to work on the initial sketch of the painting with some low effort automatic Procreate circles and freehand squares, because not everything on the painting are things that I'd like to be very much refined. And the brush I'm using today for the outlining is a customized brush, but it is very much similar to the default one that is found in the ink brush set. It is named, I think it goes by the name Fine Tip. Yeah. So you can go by the default one, and if you have trouble using it, just stabilize it a little bit and put some changes if you want to, and it is good to go. And for the background, as usual, I'm just replicating the colors on the original reference picture. The colors that I put first always changes at the end of the painting, I know, but this is what I do as my first step, and only later I see which one looks good on it. And yeah, this is basically my first step. And the brush right here that you're seeing me use now is by the illustrator whose name I cannot pronounce it well enough to be correct. And so yeah, I'm just going to say his username on Instagram. He goes by the name AVVART. So do check him out. And yeah, his brushes are amazing, especially his watercolor brushes that he sells on Gumroad. Yep. So do check them out and give him a follow. And the other brush that you're seeing me use is a customized hard oval brush, and once again it is very much similar to the default hard round brush. I just changed the shape and a few settings, and yeah, so that became my brush. So this is the end of painting the background, and I'm just seeing if it needs any more changes in the lights, in the tones, in the shades, and I'm just using the curve tool for it. Now moving on to the blades, I'm just repeating my painting process as usual again. Just simple color blocking and putting details step by step. You know, I'm just obsessed with this hard, round, and flat brushes, because I know that they are very difficult to control, but they equally produce very amazing results. During my initial days when I first bought the iPad, I used to scratch my head over and over again because I was just unable to use these brushes. But after a year or two of playing with these brushes, experimenting with them, they just became my favorite ones, and I always use them in all of my paintings. And now I am giving some texture onto the plates using the default brush named Tylosin or Tylosine, or I don't know how to say it. And again, working to and fro with my hard oval brush. Now on to painting the next plate, which one is going to be a little more detailed in shadows compared to the previous one, because that plate had banana chips. And giving that texture again using the Tylosine brush. I didn't realize it for so long, but only after shading did I notice that the proportions were again wrong. And so I am using the selection tool once again to mend the stuff up. You can see that the shadows got misplaced because of the certain change, and so I'm now giving it a little bit of retouch using Liquify and the brushes. Now time to play with the contrasts. Now since that I am done with all the values painting the plate, for painting the spoon now, I don't need to again choose colors from my palette. Instead, I can just simply color pick the lights and shadows from the previously painted plate and use it for the spoon. Now we've come to the final portion of this painting that is going to bring the entire piece together, and it is the food on the plates. I'm using a bit more saturated yellow for the Dhoklas as compared to what it in real seems like, because why not? Now I'll be using a lot of textured brushes to avoid unnecessary details and to speed up this painting. Now you can simply experiment with all the textured brushes that are available on Procreate, and you never know that which brush works for what. Now coming to this step, I just thought that I needed to add a tint of red to make it look more appealing. Sometimes I like to divert away from my reference and do things that I think will look nice. I follow my instincts there and I leave my reference behind. On the stage, I basically do guesswork here, and if anything goes wrong unintentionally, there's always undo, and so everything can be reversible, and I think it's a great feature in digital painting. Okay, look, this is why I think textured brushes are really cool. I mean, look at this skin detail brush. It is made for drawing freckles, but I'm using this to add texture to the food, and look how it does its work. Now adding in the final lights and shadows on the plate. Now at this stage, I take the curve tool and I just experiment with everything. I experiment with the colors, I experiment with the shadows. I can make the piece lighter, I can make the piece more darker, maybe more saturated. And if I feel like a certain setting is complementing the entire piece, then I'll go along with that. And I find here that the blue background looks better than the previous yellow brownish background. The reason being that blue on the RGB color wheel is complementary to yellow and orange colors, and so I think it really just brings the painting together. While starting out to paint the banana chips, I really did not have even a little bit of patience because they looked so detailed. But as I progressed, I found that they are not so tough like I thought they would be. To lay the shadows on the chips, I just color picked the darkest areas of the Dhoklas, and I roughly laid all the shadows without necessarily following the reference. That's a great tip actually, I realized, because sometimes replicating reference is like the toughest job on the earth when it comes to details. So just do some guesswork and try experimenting with your instincts and try putting values on your own and see if it works. If it doesn't, then fine. You can always undo and revert back to your reference. And it's a great practice if you want to draw something from your imagination, which, of course, every one of us wants to. So perhaps we can achieve that level by starting step by step. Just, change the values, change the lights and shadows, change colors, maybe join reference pictures to create one. And that way we can develop our instincts to a much higher level. And I can confirm this because 2 years ago I did not know how to draw a single thing from imagination. But after buying this iPad and that I always wanted to do stylized things, drawing from imagination. And so I experimented with a lot of different things. And it is easier for digital media because in traditional, we always have the fear that what if something goes wrong, we cannot mend it back. But in digital media, we can always return, we can always revert it back. And so I think this just kills our fear of making mistakes. And that's how I've learned to follow my instincts and draw something from my mind. So never get discouraged of spoiling your painting because of a mistake, because you know that with each mistake made, you learn something new. I know that drawing applications make the work much more easier and more comfortable for you to make mistakes, but even if you are a traditional artist, even if you like to do paintings and stuff, you can always do sketches before, or maybe you can keep a paper aside to draw scribbles and see how different colors complements the painting and brings it together.
So it's best to try as much as thumbnails as you can. And I suppose it's the best way to experiment in traditional media without actually spoiling the entire painting. So back to the process now again. I think we've reached almost the end. And now that it is completed, I feel like I could have done better with the texture of the food. But nonetheless, I think it's a good practice for me because I've never really done food illustrations before. But I want to know what you think about this illustration, so comment down your views below in the comment section. And if you have something to suggest about my videos, you are very much welcome, as it is going to help me grow. Thank you so much for watching, and do subscribe, like, and share.